and I'm rubbing his thighs, and I keep just like touching it a little bit, you know, because I know why you're here. I know what's going on.
Back up on the move, touchdown in my hometown, got nothing to lose. I am on my own now, I am in control now. Ain't need you to go now, I can fix my own crown. Back up on my.
Hey y'all, it's TheBreeze, and you're plugged into the Breeze lifestyle. If this is not your first time here, you already know we locked in, friend. Either way, thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you want to see more of me, go ahead and follow me on Instagram and TikTok at TheBreeze Lifestyle 777. And if you want to support your girl, then go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. All right, y'all, let's get into it. I ain't gave y'all a story time in a minute, so I said, let me give y'all a juicy one. Now, this is one of the ones, like, y'all know that trend going around? We listen and we don't judge. Yeah. I'm gonna need a little no. Is this a safe space? Tell me, if this is a safe space, put a lock in the put a lock in the comments. I need to know that we locked in, friend. I done did some things. I ain't do no strange things for change. Oh, that was a little strange. I was making a little change. We listen and we don't judge. All right, y'all, this is something like I really be having to emphasize. I have 3, I would say, best friends, aka sisters, and I have one cousin who is like my sister best friend. And I have not told any of them this story. Like, I have not told nobody this story except for the people who was involved. Like, because this was just embarrassing. This was just embarrassing. But let's go ahead and get into it, right? So let's set the scene. When I moved to Atlanta, I had quit my job. I had a car. I had good credit. I had $7,000 in the bank account. It took me months to get a job. And like a real job. I think it was almost close to a year before I got a real job. I was doing gigs and side hustles and stuff like that, but I was broke. And I'm not ashamed of it because I was only broke off the strength that I was chasing my dreams. Like, I could have stayed home. I could have stayed comfortable in Delaware. I could have been making good money. I was making as much money as people's moms, more than people's moms. Me and my mom was making the same amount. And I was like 21. So it's like, yeah, I could have been comfortable, but I chose to move my family to Georgia. And it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought it was going to be smooth sailing. I thought it was going to be easy breezy. And y'all, it was a rocky road, okay? So anyway, one thing for sure, 2 things for certain. I knew I was never selling no cat. I ain't even going to say shout out to you if you do, but we listen and we don't judge, right? But for me, per se, I knew I don't want that on my name. I don't want that on my body. Like, I don't care how hard it get. God, listen, I'm going to need you to work this out because I ain't doing it. But like, it's certain things. Look how strong that butt was. It's certain things like I didn't know was possible. Like, pretty privilege is real. Women privilege is real. So it's certain things that men will pay for that's not sex, but it could be like sexual, right? So anyway, let's go back when I told y'all that I was on Craigslist. Y'all know Craigslist. Is Craigslist still around? I think I'm gonna do a reaction video of like Craigslist horror stories. Let me write that down. Hold on. Why did I grab this? I need to put that somewhere. Okay, I'll write it down when I'm editing. Anyway, so I was on Craigslist and I found this gig to do like promo. We was gonna be at the Atlantic Mall. So I told y'all that's how I met, I don't know what I named her, but the white girl that got me to the bottle service, right? So I also met this other girl. We're gonna call her Ditzy. And yeah, I was ditzy too in these situations, but she was a little more ditzy than I was. So anyway, so I met her and we actually did click. And we both was on the same thing. Like, we trying to get money. Like, she was from here, but I'm not even going to tell you about her situation. Just know, like, she was trying to get money or whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, let's both search on things. Because it was certain things that I would see on Craigslist that I would be willing to do, but at the same time, like, I would feel more comfortable if somebody was with me to, like, help protect me or whatever. So we like, all right, cool. We both gonna be looking on Craigslist for things, and we'll accompany each other for different things. So let me tell you about some of the things that I was willing to do. So I remember this was so specifically, and now that I'm older and I look at it, I'm like, bro, like, yeah, right. So it was this ad that said, this man just wanted to tickle your feet. He was gonna pay you $300 to come and let him tickle your feet. So y'all, when you're broke and you're desperate and you're naive and ditzy and young, it's like, why not? Like, who wouldn't want to get $300 for getting their feet tickled? Like, you know? So, that was one of the things. It was another thing that was like models or whatever. And it was like, not lingerie, but the pictures that they put is kind of like booty shorts and like crop tops or whatever. What else? It was a ton of ads on Craigslist that I was like, okay, this is like, you know, it's borderline. You feel me? I'm not popping the cat, but I am kind of being sexual, right? So anyway, those fell through because it's like with the dude who wanted to tickle my feet. It was like, he was like, okay, I'll pay you for that, but is there anything else I can pay you for? Like, he was trying to get more. Okay, if you're going to do this, what else will you do? And I'm like, I thought you just wanted to tickle my feet. I thought you had a foot fetish and you got off. I thought that was going to be it. I thought that was going to do it for you. You want to do it after you tickle my feet? Nah, cool. Can you just tickle my feet? I need $300. So anyway, so that didn't go through. And then the other thing, I don't remember. I think it wasn't real. But anyway, so Ditzy comes to me and I'm like, girl, well, first we just talking to her. I'm just telling her how like all this stuff is like falling through. I can't really find no good gigs. Like everybody just really want to have sex. So Ditzy was like, you know, I've been talking to this guy. I seen this ad. So we will always send each other the ads. Mind you, we didn't really know each other. But for some reason, like, I trusted her. Like, I don't know. I trusted her. We would just be sending each other stuff. So she sent me this thing. Well, first she was telling me about it. And when we was on the phone, she said it to me. So she's telling me like, you know, I've been talking back and forth with this guy and he seemed legit. Basically, the ad is for women masseuse. And wait. First, she sent me an ad about cleaning. And y'all, listen, I got another story that we listen to, we don't judge, but I don't know. I think that one gets too real. I don't know if I can tell that one. Anyway, so she first sent me a Craigslist ad about sexy cleaners. And I'm like, hey, this is a real job. I just got to wear some fishnets. Like, you know, I didn't mind that. I didn't even honestly mind wearing like underwear and bra. The prices that they was talking, like $500 a house. I'll do it. At that time, that seemed like a lot for me to do something that I know how to do. I know how to clean. And as long as you're not touching me, I don't mind you watching me clean your house being sexy. Like, okay. So she had reached out to, what we would do is we wouldn't necessarily we wouldn't reach out together. She would reach out, I would reach out. And then once things got the ball rolling, it's like, oh, I got a friend who wants to do it with me, you know, so we would be letting them know, like, I'm not doing it myself. So that particular ad fell through. And me and her was trying to start our own cleaning business. Like, we can do this ourselves. We just buy the materials and, like, you know, but we were trying to figure out how to find people who's going to pay for that. This and that. It just didn't work out. So then after that, it's probably like a week or two after she has sent me this ad, right? So this ad is for masseuses. And I'm like, okay. I used to rub my grandma back all the time. And she said I was a great massager. So, okay, I got some credit. I got some references. I got some experience. I could do this. So I'm reading the ad or whatever. And it's you know. So she's telling me, like, I talked to the dude and I didn't want to tell you first because the ad did look a little sketchy. So she wanted to talk to him first, get some more information. So basically, long story short, this guy owns a massage parlor and he's looking for women to be the masseuse or whatever. He already has one. He needs a couple more. So this place, it's an option to do happy endings. If you don't know what a happy ending is, go look it up. Okay. But anyway, so it's optional, but you absolutely, positively do not have to be down with that. Just let him know what you are willing to do. So I'm like, okay. So she like, I told him about you already. I told him I don't really feel comfortable doing it by myself. He said, it's no problem. We can both go. So I'm like, okay, but he wants to talk to you and he wants you to send him a picture or whatever. So she like, just respond to the ad and then whatever. So I respond to the ad. I send a couple sexy pictures, not too sexy, but I did send a picture of me and my panties and my bra, and then like a regular picture, whatever. So he sees me, he writes back to me, we set up a time, we talk. So as I'm talking to him, he like, you know, so I talked to your friend or whatever, and are y'all on the same page or whatever? So I'm like, as of what? And he was like, as of like what y'all are willing to do. So I'm like, oh, I didn't really talk to her about what she's willing to do, but what I'm willing to do is the massage. Like, because I don't, everything else that you're like possibly thinking of, I'm not willing to do that. So he like tried to make it seem like, because he was talking good money, right? And he's like, well, you know, if you're just doing the massages, then you're not really going to make a lot of money because most people is coming for this, and I can't just put you on the massage and have somebody else do the other stuff. Like, so if the customer is coming for this, then you just wouldn't get a customer, and you know, you would just have to wait to find something that is just the massage. So I'm like, okay, well, what else would there be to do? Kind of being dumb because I know what else there is to do. So he started explaining everything when he was talking about the and the and that's really it. So I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, and he kind of did put me on the spot. I did let him bully me a little bit, but I also was thinking about it, and I was looking at the price ranges of what I could get for this, what I could get for that, what I could get for this, and I was like, I'm willing to do a little. We listen and we don't judge. Yeah, I'm not willing to, but like I'll for a little, like I'm gonna be here for an hour, and I'm gonna walk away with $500, $600 for. How many hours you need me to work a day? I'm sorry, that's why you really gotta be locked in with God, and you just cannot like move off of desperation. And not saying like I knew who God was, but at this time I feel like I wasn't locked in. I trusted him, but I wasn't locked in with him for real. I had to go through all of this journey in Atlanta, because Delaware taught me some things, but Atlanta, baby, Atlanta raised me for real. I didn't come down here till I was like 22, 23. But when I talk about maturity, when I talk about like spiritually, emotionally, like Atlanta raised. My bad, y'all. My phone died. I don't even know where I stopped. Hold on. Okay, so I was just talking about how I grew up in Atlanta. Not literally, but like mentally, spiritually, like emotionally. I grew up maturity-wise, like, yeah, I just went through a lot of different things that I wouldn't have went through in Delaware that molded me and shaped me into like the way that I think and the things I avoid now. But anyway, so I'm down for the count. After I talked to the dude, I called Ditsy on the phone. I'm like, girl, I talked to him, and what was you willing to do? Like, what did you say that you was? That was my first question. Like, what was you willing to do? And she was like, cause she had a boyfriend, and I never really got into if her boyfriend knew this is what she was doing or what. But she was like, I'm not effing, but I'll do the I said, girl, me too. I'm like, really just wanted to do the massage, but he made it seem like I wasn't going to get no clients. She was like, me too. So we still not putting it 2 and 2 together. Like, this was his plan from the beginning. But anyway, so, all right, cool. It's been a week and we're talking to him back and forth. He's telling us like he's waiting to get more clients. And he'll put us on a schedule soon. Like right now, there's just no room for us to be on the schedule. So she's letting him know, like, because I just really did the interview with him and then he really was communicating to her for both of us, kind of. She would send me screenshots and stuff, so I knew she wasn't lying. But basically, it's like, I was ready to work. Like, I said yes, and I'm ready to go. Like, what's going on? But he was basically saying, like, there's not enough room for us. So she was telling him, like, when we don't mind in the future doing our own thing, but for the first at least once or twice, like, we want to be together. So we said, like, you know, one person is going to be, like, the masseuse, the other person to be, like, the flirt, and then like we'll rotate one person, just so we can get comfortable, and we'll not necessarily split the money, but we'll share the money. So let's say if I'm the flirt and she got $600 off of this, she would give me 2, and vice versa. Like, I'm doing most of the work, so we ain't about to split it 50-50, but I'm still going to give you some of the pot or whatever. So all right, cool. And he was cool with that. He said that's perfectly fine. Until the week after that, it's like, okay, I got one position ready. And it's like, okay, that's cool. You got one position, but, okay, cool. So we're both going. And he was telling her, like, this is a client who's kind of shy. He's a high profile client, and he don't really want anybody to know, so he don't want nobody extra in the room. That's suspicious. Like, what we said that we wanted to do, so why would we even be considered for this candidate if you already know what we want to do? So I'm like, all right, you really introduced me to this guy, so how do you feel about it? She was like, I really don't feel comfortable going by myself. So I'm telling her, well, we might not be in the same room, but I'll come with you, and, we'll do it that way or whatever. So she was like, I don't know. I'm like, if you're not feeling it, then, we don't have to do it. We can just wait for the next one or whatever. So she was like, all right, let's wait for the next one. So she told him, and then she came back and called me like, I'm just going to do it. So I'm like, what changed? Because it was like literally less than an hour. I'm like, what changed? She was like, basically he's saying if one of us don't do this, then he's going to have to find somebody else. And if they do a good job, then they're basically going to like jump us in the line and take the spot, and then whatever. Obviously, I feel like the whole time he was lying and he was just trying to get us to come. So I'm like, okay, I'll come with you. I'll just like ask him if I'm allowed to come in the building and wait in the waiting room. And he was like, yeah, that's cool. And I'm like, all right, cool. But when I got there, like the girl was telling me like, I don't work here, so I can't. I'm like, I do work here. I just haven't started yet. And she was like, well, I have to talk to him. And she called him and he didn't answer. And it's like 10 minutes for the, it was like 10-15 minutes before the actual appointment. Let's say the appointment was, let's say the appointment was 2:00. We met up, we drove, because she lived so far away from me, and the place was close to her. It just didn't make sense or whatever. Anyway. So she met me there. We met at around, let's say, like I said, the appointment was 2:00. So we met at 1:30. We both was puffing on trees. So I had one rolled up and I had a little bottle, because I know how I would feel. I would be nervous. I was nervous for her. So she was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, she didn't have none of these things. And I'm like, are you sure you want to do it? Do you feel like, just it'll take the edge off, or you feel like you just want to be on your P's and Q's or whatever? I'm telling her while I'm on the way, like, I'm already, and I'll save you some if you want it. She was like, girl, yes, please, I need it. Like, I ain't had no money to get none or whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I put it out, and then when I got with her, we was doing that, and we took a couple shots. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, did we just talking about what she would need to do if, like, if there's a problem. Because I'm thinking I'm going to be right in the waiting room. So I'm like, okay, bang on the door, scream. Like, if anything goes wrong, I'm going to be listening out, and we're going to bank him. Like, we're going to jump him. I don't care who's there. He's getting beat up. You're not about to get taken advantage of. Because she did tell me a story where she was on Craigslist, and I'm not about to tell all her business, but she got taken advantage of, like, going for one thing, and it turned out to be another, and she couldn't get out of the situation without handling the situation. So if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But anyway, so, all right, cool. We doing that. We like, all right, we going to do 15 minutes because she already greased up or whatever. She already got her outfit on. Like, let's say she got her, because mind you, we doing this damn near naked. She already got her lingerie, little fishnets under her sweatsuit or whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool. So she like, I do want to get in just to like spray a little bit and, you know, just make sure I'm greased up more. So like, all right, cool. We'll go in 15 minutes before the actual appointment. So all right, cool. So we was out there about 15 minutes, just puffing and take a couple shots. So we get in there, and like I said, the girl's like, oh, you don't work here, you can't be here if you don't have an appointment. She called the dude's not answering. Now, like I said, we got like 10 minutes before the appointment. So I'm like, okay, girl, just we just gonna call her Mademoiselle, whatever, masseuse lady. You get her situated, and then you come back to me, and we'll continue to try to call the guy. I'm texting him, I'm calling him, he's not answering. So I'm like, oh, this is so annoying because, like, this is the whole point of me being here so we can protect each other. So Dissy is looking at me and she's like, I don't know. I'm like, girl, you got this. Like, you got this. Keep me on FaceTime if you need to, like, you know, whatever. I said, if you don't hear from me by the time he's coming in, like, a minute before 2 o'clock, call me on FaceTime or I'm going to call you. So we calling the dude, he's not answering. She like, you know, before the customer gets here, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, like, you know, whatever. So it's like 5 minutes later. So when she asked me to leave, I FaceTime Ditsy. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not going to be in there, but keep your phone to the side, turn it down so you don't hear me, but I can hear you or whatever. So she like, okay. She was just so nervous. I'm like, girl, you got this. It's just an hour, just massage and we got our money. Like, well, you got your money. She was like, I'm still going to give you $100. I'm like, okay, thank you, girl, because I need that $100. Thank you. So, all right, cool. So I see a man walking in. I'm like, oh, girl, he is coming. She's like, oh my gosh, okay. I was a little lit, so I probably shouldn't have been like that. But I'm like, oh, girl, he coming. Because I was nervous for her. And I'm like, I'm nervous for myself because I'm going to be doing this next. So he goes in and I'm just like, girl, you got this. Don't worry. Just do your thing. You look good. You smell good. Like, you're good. She like, should I take off my clothes now? I'm like, girl, your clothes should have been off. Like, he's coming. Yes. I'm like, put your clothes to the side. Don't, you know, let them be like visual or whatever. Because she showed me the room. The room was clean or whatever. It was dark lit. So I'm just like, put your clothes in the corner or whatever. And then just be waiting there like standing next to the bed sexy. Like, you know, because I want him to come fast. I don't want you to be the whole hour. Like, I want you to be massaged most of the time, get that over with, and get him out of there. So, y'all, I'm on the phone with her the whole time. She like, hey, like, her whole voice changed. Her whole voice changed. She like, hey, you know, my name is whatever she called herself. She had a fake name, whatever. We both have fake names. So she had a fake name. You know, she just talking to him. And it took like 5 minutes or whatever. And he was like, okay, well, I'm ready. I don't want to waste my time on talking. We could talk while you massaging. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. He is paying $600 for this massage. I wouldn't want to waste my hour on just talking either. Let them fingers work and talk to me, baby. So they doing that or whatever. And it was just so cringe. Like, he was an old dude. Like, I could see him or whatever. So anyway, I can't see him on the FaceTime, but I seen him walk in. So he's like, okay, you know, let's say like 20 minutes went past. He's like, okay, I'm ready for the next part. And she's like, what's the next part? Mind you, I don't know the conversation she had with the dude. Like, I don't know if he told her, like, okay, this is what he wants. Like, this is our first time doing this. I don't really feel like we had no training in it. So he like, yeah, I'm ready for, and he just was like trying to beat around the bush. And she was like, okay, just turn on your back. And he turned on his back or whatever, and she started, I mean, like I said, I couldn't see, but I'm assuming she started to play with that thing. So I'm like, oh my God, I got my phone on mute. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. She's doing it. Like, yo, like I just was like blown. I'm just here rolling another one, just like, oh my gosh, like this is really happening. Like this is really happening. So he's just like making these noises, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So it took like the rest of the time. It was like 30. I'm like, I know her arm hurt because he just was like directing her like just a little slower. Okay, speed it up, speed it up. Oh, talk to me dirty. Like he was trying to tell her what to do to help him, you know, whatever. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is just not real. This can't be real. And I'm just cracking up. Like, so anyway, I just heard him. And she's like, and I guess it happened or whatever. So he was talking to her a little bit more, and it's like now he want to talk. Like I'm looking at the time, like okay, explosion happened. Okay, they got 5 more minutes. It's like 10 minutes later, and nothing. It's 15 minutes late. Not 15 minutes after that, like 15 minutes total. So now it's like 10 minutes over the session time. And he was so bent on not wasting time. So now this time you're not paying for. So I'm like, what should I do? Like I was thinking about hanging up and calling her so she could have, because she's not getting the hint. Like she's just talking to her. And I understand like you don't want to mess up your money. I don't know if they pay first. I don't know if they pay after. I don't know what's going on. So all right, cool. So I'm just contemplating, like, what should I do? Next thing you know, I hear, are you guys all right in there? And she was like, yes, we're coming. And she was like, you go ahead and get situated. And thank you so much. Da, da, da. So she left her stuff in there, and she left her phone in there, and she came out. And the lady was, I guess, must have told her, like, you know, do you have all of your stuff? And she was like, oh, you know, I don't know. I'm just assuming she said, oh, you know, whatever, and came back and got her stuff. So when she got her stuff, I guess she went into this other room, and she was like, are you still there? I'm like, yes, girl, you did that. I'm just hyping her up. She's like, ah. So she gets her stuff. She didn't see the guy afterwards, but she waited like 15, 20 minutes before she left. So she walked past the door. The door was open, so the guy wasn't there. I'm still on FaceTime with her. So she goes to the girl. She's like, okay, is this my only appointment for the day? She was like, yeah. She was like, okay, so do I get cash or Venmo, or like, you know, how does this work? And she was like, I didn't even get to do the name. So I guess we can call him, we're going to call him Craig, okay? So she like, oh, Craig didn't tell you, you know, how you would get paid or whatever? And she was like, no. She was like, oh, well, I don't pay you. Craig pays you. Like, I don't handle the money. Craig does. The people pay Craig, and then he pays the people. So she asked her, she was like, oh, okay, so are you just a receptionist, or are you a masseuse as well? She was like, oh, I'm a masseuse as well, but I just don't do certain things. So with her saying that, I'm like, oh, she want the big money. Like, she don't want to just, and she only here for the people who's, So I'm like, okay, cool. So she was like, can you try to call him? She was like, I've been trying to call him, and he's not answering the phone, but he's a good dude or whatever. Like, he'll give you your money. So I'm just like, And she was like, are you on the phone? And she was like, oh, yeah, I'm on the phone. So I'll just go ahead and call him, and, you know, we'll go from there. So she was like, okay, you know, whatever. So she comes outside and gets in my car. I'm like, girl, no, I don't like that. Like, I don't like that. I just did all of this work, and I got to wait for somebody who don't answer the phone to give me my money. Like, I don't like that. So she was like, yeah, I don't like that. Let me try to call him. So she called him. He didn't answer. She texted him, and he was like, I'll call you back. So I'm like, what you want to do? Like, I feel like we should sit here until he actually calls back. Now, it was a little restaurant not too far from there. I wasn't broke, but I could afford a little bit of Chili's. So we went to Chili's or whatever, and we both just got a little something, a little appetizer or whatever. So, all right, cool. 30 minutes go by. The man never calls. So she calls him again. No answer. She texts him. He said, give me a minute. I'm like, no, I don't like this. Like, I don't like this, and I'm not doing it. Like, listen, as easy as I said to y'all that I was going, y'all, it was going through my mind, like, are you really about to do this? Is this who you are? I'm just going so much through my mind. So if it's taking me all of that to get here, and you playing with money, like, no. Like, no, I'm not even putting myself in no position to do this for free. Like, I shouldn't even really be doing this for the money, but to do it for free is crazy. Like, nah. Especially as long as it took that man, like, ugh. I just thought old men just happen fast, but I guess maybe that's what the point. I don't know. So he did eventually call. He was like, you know, talking to her, asking her how everything went or whatever. She was telling him it was good, whatever. So she asked him, like, how do I get paid? And he was like, oh, well, I'm going to send you the money via PayPal. When he said PayPal, I was like, I don't like that. Like, telling you here you want cash. He was like, he don't deal with cash. His customers pay him in PayPal, so he got to pay us in PayPal. I'm like, I don't like that. I said, well, ask him how. Because, mind you, I'm not hearing him, but I'm listening to her responses. So I'm like, ask him how long it's going to take to get your money. And he was like, I'm about to send it to you right now. So I'm like, all right, cool. She had a PayPal. I ain't had no PayPal. So he actually did end up sending her the money. But it was short. So he told her it was going to be $600. He sent her $450. So I'm like, you said, I said, hold on. How he said 600. How do it turn from 600 to 450? You probably already guessed. He got to take a cut. But I feel like, I get that you would take a cut. It's your business. You're getting a customer. But why would you tell me that I'm going to get 600? You should have just said that I'm going to get 450. Then I wouldn't even have been worried about your cut and how much you actually got. But for you to tell me I'm getting 600 and then it's 450 and you don't mention nothing about you having to take a cut out of my 600. It's crazy. So I'm like, she's like, well, you know, it's cool. It's cool. No, call him back. Because we ain't just doing this for you. We doing this for us. And I'm confused. Like, I need to understand what's going on. Like, I got to know. Okay? So that's when she called and he like, well, you know, I do got to take a cut or whatever. So it's like, all right, cool. So I'm just like, all right, whatever. So she still gave me the $100 and I was thankful for it. I was like, girl, you can just give me 50. She was like, no, you rocked out with me. I'm giving you $100. And she paid for our food. So I'm like, oh, thank you. I ain't spent too much because I ain't had too much. I had like about $15. But anyway, so, all right, cool. So it was probably like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks later. He hit me up personally, Craig. So Craig was like, are you free on Saturday? So I'm like, yeah, I'm free. What's up? So he was like, I got one for you. It's going to be 600, but I take my cut, so it's going to be 450. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. What's all entailed? And he told me, like, you know, it's a happy ending just with the So I'm like, all right, cool. What time? We set that all up. So I told him that the girl did not because I forgot all about this at first until it was my turn. I'm like, oh, well, the girl did not let me come in there with Ditzy. We agreed that we would be able to come or whatever. He was like, okay, I'll talk to her and, you know, y'all both workers, so y'all good or whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I talked to Ditzy on the phone right after that. She was like, yeah, that's cool. She'll come with me. I'm like, all right, cool. But I just made sure she was aware, like, it's no longer 200 because he taking 150, so it'll be the 100 or whatever. And she was like, all right, cool. And I said, since I didn't come in the room with you, and that might be a little awkward, like, you can do the same thing I did, but I would still rather you be in the waiting room waiting for me rather than you being like in the car. I'm going to ask the girl if you can stay in that room that you was in, that, you know, you was changing or whatever. She was like, all right, cool. So long story short, kind of the same thing. I was getting lit before I got there because I just couldn't, like, Y'all, I just could not fathom. Like, I was getting ready, getting high. I was driving there, getting high. I told her we need to get there an hour early because I'm not drinking until I get there. Like, I'm not going to drink until I get there. And I'm not drinking too much, but I need to be lit. Because it was really like bothering me. This was really bothering me. And I'm like, dang, like, yo, like, I can't move back home. Like, I can't make this whole leap and then move back home. But I'm also not trying to lose myself, like, in this, you know? So I'm, like, just kind of talking myself into it. Like, it's not that bad. You're not even doing, you know, whatever you're going to keep your on. And I wasn't just doing lingerie. I was doing the same thing she did. Like, I'm doing fishnets. I mean, you can rip off fishnets, but I didn't have lingerie. I had a bodysuit. That same bodysuit I was telling you about in the bottle service. I had a bodysuit on that you could see all the cheeks. The panties out, like, you know, it still gives real sexy. But you going to have to work a little harder if you're trying to grape me. Because panties, you can just put them to the side. You're going to have to get through the side. Then the fishnet, like, you're going to have to work to try to get this forcefully. So anyway, so I'm like, okay, cool. We in the parking lot getting lit, all right? So I said, let's go in there 20 minutes early. We did 15 minutes before. Let's do 20 minutes early. So I go in there and I'm like, hey, you know, whatever. I got an appointment. She's like, okay, cool. I'm like, is it okay if she sits in one of the empty rooms and wait for me? Because this is my first time. I don't feel comfortable. And I already talked to Craig about it. He said it was cool. And she was like, yeah, he talked to me. Yeah, that's cool, whatever. But y'all going to be in the same room? Or I said, no, we don't want to be in the same room anymore. I just want her to be near me, like, you know, because it's my first time. So she was like, all right, cool. So I'm in there, I'm getting dressed, or not getting dressed, but more so getting undressed. And I'm just like sweaty. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. So I did the same thing she did. I got her on FaceTime, made sure my phone was charged up. And I got her on FaceTime, and I'm like, girl, I'm so nervous. She giving me the same pep talk I'm giving her, like, girl, get this money. It ain't about nothing. Da, 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 da. So, okay, now her dude was a white dude, old white dude. And I prepared myself for old white dude because I'm like, all right, like, I ain't never gonna see him. Like, you know, it is what it is. Like, I ain't worried about it. Like, whatever. So I'm like, I am going to wait in my room, but I'm going to not be that sexy. Like, I'm going to be on my phone. Like, I turned her down pretty much, but I'm going to be on my phone. I'm going to be, like, acting like I'm texting, but I'm going to be in, like, a sexy pose. So I'm, like, sitting on the massage bed, and I'm just, like, leaned over a little bit, and I'm just going through the phone because it's, like, it's the time. We're going to use the same time. It's 2 o'clock or whatever. So I'm like, all right, 1:59. I turn her all the way down, and I'm just scrolling through my phone, like, you know, whatever. And I'm just, So he knocks on the door, and I'm like, come in. Come in. Y'all, this man opens the door, and it's a black dude. Not to say it like that, but I just wanted a white dude. So it was a black dude, and he was not like old. He probably was in his 40s, but he was not old, but he was not cute at all. So I could see why he's here. You feel me? So I'm just like, hi, how are you? You know, still just trying to fight through, like, me just being so shocked and surprised I didn't know black people did this. You feel me? So I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, hey, you know, how are you? My name is, I forgot what I actually call myself, but we just gonna say, my name is Sweetness. How are you? You know, come on, go ahead. Like, I'm already learning from her experience. Like, these dudes don't really want to waste no time. His time is ticking. And he did come like 3 or 4 minutes after time. It wasn't a whole 5 minutes, but he didn't come right on the dot. So I'm like, go ahead, you know, you could put your, I'm acting like I done did this. This is my house, you know, I know everything about it. I'm like, go ahead, just put your clothes over there. Did you want me to step out while you undress, or are you okay with me being here? And I'm just talking to him, I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, where do you work? You know, what do you do? Oh, okay, yeah, we definitely not gonna talk about work no more. This is a stress reliever. I want to take all your stress away. Girl, I practiced this in the mirror multiple times. Because I was so nervous, but I knew, like, I had to act like I was not. So he takes off his clothes. I'm getting the oil. I'm just like, do you want me to warm it up with my hands first, or do you like it when it's cold and then it get warm? He like, just warm it up with your hands. I like it warm. He was just telling me like, you so sexy. And I'm like, thank you so much. You know, you handsome too. Like, why you don't got no girlfriend? Just using dudes' lines on them. Knowing damn well why he ain't got no girlfriend, because he ugly. So I'm like, you know, whatever. So he is just like loving his rub down. And my hands is cramping a little bit, but every time my hands, I'm not telling y'all my secrets of massaging, I ain't telling you. But anyway, so I'm doing his massage. Probably like 30 minutes go by, and he's like, you know, can you do my legs? And I'm like, yeah, because I'm actually like sitting on top of him, basically sitting on his butt and just doing his lower back, upper back, shoulders, arms, you know, whatever. He was like, do you mind doing my legs? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, do you do feet? And I was like, yeah. Like, if I'm going to do the dick, I might as well do the feet. You feel You feel me? So I'm like, yeah. He was like, okay, yeah, I'm on my feet all the time. Like, I just, you know, just give me a good little 5 minutes on my feet. So I'm doing his leg, going all the way from the thigh, and, you know, I'll give you a little bit. So, mind you, he don't have no clothes on, but he still is being respectable. He got the little thing over his genitalia. So I'm just like, okay. So, you know, okay, how do I explain this? Long story short, I'm rubbing, this is his thing, and I'm rubbing past it. Because I'm trying to get him, listen, in and out, bro, in and out. So I'm rubbing past it, and I'm rubbing his thighs, and I keep just like touching it a little bit, you know, because I know why you're here. I know what's going on. So I'm just touching and rubbing, and then I'm doing his feet. Like, he's getting a quality massage out of me. I'm telling you, I'm trying to get this 450 and get out of here. So, all right, cool. I do both his feet. And he was like, I'm not trying to be anal, but do you mind like washing your hands, and then like, you know, we can get down to the ended part? I'm like, of course. Like, I was gonna do that anyway. I gotta protect you, like, you know, just whatever. So I wash my hands, and then I put some, I'm like, is it okay if I put some oil on my hands? He was like, yeah, just don't. Anyway, I'm not gonna tell you all of that. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm doing it. He was like, look at me. I did not rehearse that part. I was not prepared for a look at me. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just smiling. I'm just looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up, using one hand, looking two hands, and I'm just doing my thing. And I'm like, you like that? And he was like, yeah, I like that. So, you know, I'm doing it. And he was like, okay. Like, basically directing me, telling me how to do it. So I do it. He does his thing, and I'm instantly like disgusted. Like, the way that it almost hit me in my face, because I was into it. Like, I'm into it. I'm looking at him. I'm into it. I'm looking at it. And next, he didn't tell me he was about to And I know you say you could probably tell, but it was tense like most of the time, so I couldn't tell. Next thing you know, the thing started and it went up, and it almost hit me in my face. I was like, ah. Then it's all on my hands. I'm just like instantly, I'm like, but I'm still in character, you know? So I'm like, that's what I like. Satisfaction. Like, I'm still, you know, just, it's like a, what's the word? I'm about to say Play-Doh, but like, I don't know. It's soft, obviously. So I'm just like playing with it, whatever. And I'm like, did you enjoy yourself or whatever? And he was like, yeah, I really enjoyed myself. I really, like, I'm asking for you by name, sweetness. Like, I need you in my life. Like, let's link up outside of this. Like, we don't need no third party. Like, let's link up. So I'm just like, you know, I don't really feel comfortable doing that right now. But if you become my regular, then yeah, I definitely, you know, do some sessions with you. So he's like, yeah, I need this at least once a month. And I'm like, Once a month. I thought you were going to say once a week. Because he was talking big money, big cash. And I thought he was going to say once a week. Because, you know, everybody needs a little stress relief. But anyway, so I'm washing my hands. I'm like, you okay with me standing here while you getting dressed or whatever? Now, mind you, I'm looking at the time. I looked at the time on my phone. And we still had about like 5 minutes left. So I'm like, all right, cool. It didn't really take him that long. It was a solid 15, 20 for him to do all of that, right? So, all right, cool. So I'm just talking to him and he was like, I appreciate you so much, like, just for taking care of me. Here you go. And I'm like, I look back because I don't know what I was doing, but I was doing something because I really didn't want to like watch him get dressed. So I look back, it's money on. He got some money on for your girl. I'm like, oh, thank you. Appreciate you. I said, are you sure? Stupid. Why would I say, are you sure? Just take the money and go. He was like, yeah, I wish I could do more, but I really appreciate you. This is all the cash I got on me right now. So I'm like, okay, well, thank you. So I ain't counted or nothing. I just put it in my little and went about my day. So he left. He asked me for my number. I'm not giving you my number. You know, just ask for sweetness and I got you, whatever. Sorry, cool. So he gets out. And then I go to the room to get ditzy, and I'm hype. I'm like, oh, girl, let me count this money. It was $100. He gave me a $100 tip. I'm like, girl, as soon as I get my money, PayPal, I'll get this to you. Like, I'll give you the $100, and I'll have my money in PayPal. So anyway, I text the dude, and I was like, I'm done. And literally, he didn't call me. He didn't do nothing. He sent me because obviously I set up PayPal at this point. He set up the $450 and he did the PayPal. So I'm like, okay, cool. Here go your $100. Yeah, I was ready. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was easy money. So I was ready to go. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm ready for my next one. You know, I'm ready for my next one, whatever. So, long story short, everything happens for a reason because I feel like sometimes everybody's path is personalized. Nobody goes through the same journey in life. You might have similar experiences, but nobody goes through the exact same journey. So for me in particular, I'm very hard-headed, and I think God knows that about me. I know God knows that about me. So certain things, instead of me never dealing with it, like he lets me deal with it, hit my head, and like, oh, don't mess with that no more, you know? So I feel like at that moment, that money was made so easily, like I was ready to do it every day. Like, not every day, but I was ready to make this money. Like, I was ready to go. My nerves was going. Like, I'm like, I don't care who come in this door next. Like, I'm doing what I got to do. Like, I'm getting it done. So, basically, and I don't want to give out too much information because, like, you'll never find this girl. Never had no pictures with her, nothing. But still, it's just a simple fact. Like, I don't want her to ever watch this and be like, damn, like, she told all my business. But long story short, we got too comfortable. Like, that was, I don't want to tell too much, but just long story short, that's the only time I did that. Like, I never did it again because of what I'm about to tell you. So we got too comfortable with the dude because it took like 3 weeks for us to get another appointment because like, he made it seem like he needed so many girls to help his clientele. But then it's like, I feel like he didn't have enough clientele for the girls that he had. So he got another one in about 3 weeks. And obviously, we rotating. So she get one, I get one, she get one. So he called Ditsy. Ditsy tell me, but she like, you know, you ain't got to worry about it. I've been talking to him. Like, he been keeping in contact with me, letting me know that he's trying to find me somebody. He finally found somebody for me or whatever. And I feel good to go by myself. So she goes by herself. Craig, I guess, promised the client or the dude the full service. And Ditsy had no idea. So Ditsy, mind you, I'm not on FaceTime with her or nothing. She just called me crying after the fact. So basically, he told the customer or whatever, he told the dude that he could get the full service. He never told Ditsy. So Ditsy gets in there and she's ready to do the And then dude, like, you know, at first, basically what she's telling me, obviously she's the one that told me the story, but she started doing the thing, and he tried to, like, put her head to, you know, give him that Glock 3000. And she's like, oh, no, you know, I don't do that or whatever. Mind you, the receptionist, she said, was there. Mind you, the receptionist said she do the whole thing. So I don't understand why Craig would even do, like, it just didn't make sense. So anyway, he tried to make her do the Glock, and she was like, oh, no, you know, I don't do that. He was like, okay, well, get on top of me. And she was like, no, you know, I only do that. And he was like, shoot, not for what I paid. You know, he started to get mad. And she was like, you know, I let my boss know that this is all that I do. I'm not sure what y'all talked about. And he was telling her, like, I paid $800 to get this, and I want the whole thing. I'm cool with not getting the Glock, but, like, no, I want the whole thing. So she was like, you know, I'm definitely sorry, but I don't do that. And he started to get mad, which, like, I understand his frustration. Like, he paid before he got there, and somebody told him one thing, now it's a whole nother thing. Like, that just doesn't make sense. But like I said, before the situation, Ditsy had been in a situation that she could not get out of. But she told me that, you know, she got up and she was like, well, let me see what's going on or whatever. And he was like, hurry up, and I better get extra time because you're wasting my time or whatever. So she goes out to the girl. She's telling the girl, and she's like, oh, I thought you was only doing that on your first try. I thought you was, you know, comfortable. Because she was she was talking to the girl as well. She telling both of them, like, you know, she feel like she could do this now, you know, whatever. I guess they took that the wrong way and thought that she could do everything. And she was like, no, like, you know, I'm still, like, on that. I'm just doing this. And she was like, well, I'm going to have to call Craig. And if I got to do it, then I'm taking the whole money. Da-da-da-da-da. So she calls Craig, and Craig basically didn't answer Ditsy's phone call. But when the massage girl called him, he answered. And she kind of walked away. And basically, long story short, we ain't never hear from Craig again, because that girl told Ditsy that Craig said you can go home and he'll call you later, and that girl handled her business. She handled her business. I never got another call from Craig, and she never got another call from Craig. She called Craig, text Craig, never got a response from Craig. We never heard from Craig again. For all we know, that was Craig. Like, we never seen Craig in real life. I guess we would know because we heard his voice before, so obviously, I guess it wasn't Craig. But still, like, he could have been using a voice monitor. I don't know. But either way, like, he set her up, and he was setting us up the whole time. Like, be careful, y'all. Like, people will see what you're willing to do and try to make you go a step further. Try to make you go a step further until you eventually get to the point where you're doing what they wanted you to do anyway. So you having standards and boundaries and morals never even mattered because you kept inching. So stand on your business. If you not going to do that, don't do that. And that's even for me too, because I wasn't going to do that. But like I said, he kind of pressured me into, like, doing it, and I felt desperate for the money. Like, y'all never be desperate for money. Look, y'all gonna say I'm getting a little churchy, but somebody gotta hear it, and I know it's gonna touch somebody. I feel it in my spirit to say it. Like, if you're really down bad, strengthen your relationship with God. Like, strengthen your faith in Jesus, and everything not gonna be easy, but everything's gonna be all right. Like, you don't have to go against what you truly believe in to get you through this situation, because bills always gonna come, time always gonna move. It's always going to be something else I need to get paid for, period. And it's not coming from nobody who ain't never been through nothing. Like, I'm a single mom, raised by a single mom, grew up in the hood, car repossessed, been through eviction, all of that. I done some things, but I had a strong line. Cootie cat ain't on the table. It's not for sale. That's my strong line. You feel me? It's certain other lines that I might have never thought about, and I might have let you go a step over here, but you never even about to even think. This is a brick wall, bro. Like, it's never. So find your brick wall. Some things you might not want to do, but it's like, okay, if it makes sense, I might do it. Okay, but let that be your decision. Don't do it off of desperation. Don't do it off of somebody trying to bully you into doing it. Like, don't do it because of that. So I told this story because it is a little entertaining, but I was doing my reaction videos, and it was one video that really I felt like, you know, this girl, like, I'm glad she told a story. And I'm building myself up to tell a story that I don't really want to tell, but I feel like, who would I be? Like, if I really am here to help young girls and stuff, like, I can't be ashamed of the things that I've actually went through. And like, I just been through some things, y'all. And some things I put myself, like this whole thing, I put myself here. Like, nobody coerced me into being here. He kind of did lie. But anyway, I still chose to be here. And in certain situations, I chose to be there. I just didn't know how things was going to play out. And that's why I say, like, I really grew up in Atlanta, because to this day, people not doing this in Delaware. Even if they are, like, it's not on the spectrum. Like, Atlanta is a whole nother ballgame when it comes to sex. Like, they're doing a whole lot of, it's a lot going on down here, okay? But anyway, y'all, that's my little motivational moment. But this is The Breeze. You've been plugged in. Do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know your Craigslist horror stories. If you was on Craigslist back in the day, if you know somebody that got scammed, let me know. Like, I'm going to do a whole video about that, because Craigslist was crazy, y'all. But anyway, this is the end of the video. See you in the next one. Bye.